Get your goddamn hands off my mailbox. The words ripped from my throat as I slammed the truck door. There she was, cream pantsuit, oversized Gucci sunglasses, gripping a crowbar like she was about to pry open a coffin. My 15-year-old black mailbox tilted at a 45-degree angle, bolts screaming as she wrenched it from the concrete. Two guys in orange vests stood behind her holding 5 identical beige mailboxes stacked on a hand truck. Each one had a brass plaque reading, HOA, approved. She didn't stop when I charged across the driveway. Just wiped sweat from her forehead with a white handkerchief embroidered with the initials DL in gold thread. This non-compliant structure violates Section 4.7 of Community Aesthetic Standards, she said, voice smooth as poisoned honey. I'm correcting the violation. There is no AOA in this neighborhood. I was close enough now to see the 3-carat diamond on her ring finger catching the afternoon sun. She lowered the sunglasses. Her eyes were pale blue, cold as January ice. There is now, sweetheart, and I'm the president. Unanimous vote. Clang. My mailbox hit the pavement. The metal post bent at a sick angle. The sound echoed down Saguaro Drive like a gunshot. That's destruction of property, I said. Phone already out, filming. She smiled, lips pulled tight over bleached teeth. That's code enforcement. The new mailbox will be installed by 5 p.m. You're welcome. That was October 14th, 2024. That was my introduction to Deborah Lancaster. And that was the moment I realized my quiet Scottsdale neighborhood had just been invaded by a woman who genuinely believed she owned the entire block. I didn't know then that she'd already stolen 10 feet of my driveway. I didn't know her mother had been an HOA tyrant who destroyed lives in the 90 seconds. And I sure as hell didn't know I was about to spend the next 3 months in the most absurd property war Arizona had ever seen. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Rewind to April 2024. Desert Willow Community, North Scottsdale. 43 houses, built in the late 90 seconds, sitting on half-acre lots with desert landscaping and mountain views. The Johnsons lived at the corner with their 3 labs. The Martinez family had twin daughters who played soccer in the cul-de-sac every evening. Old Mr. Chen, 78 years old, walked his Shiba Inu at 6 a.m. like clockwork for the past 20 years. And me, I'd lived at 4847 Saguaro Drive for 9 years. 3-bedroom ranch house, red tile roof, oversized 2-car garage out back. Most importantly, a long concrete driveway that wrapped around the east side of the property like an L shape. That driveway wasn't just concrete, it was the heart of my HVAC repair business, Miller Climate Control. My white Ford Transit work van parked there every night. My tools, refrigerant tanks, copper tubing, all stored in the garage. I'd built the business from $0 to $340,000 annual revenue serving commercial clients across Phoenix Metro. The neighbors loved it. When Mrs. Kowalski's AC died during the July heat wave of 2023114 degrees outside, I had her system running in 3 hours, charged her cost for parts. When the Martinez family's newborn came home and their master bedroom felt like a sauna, I installed 2 ceiling fans for free on a Sunday. The driveway was always clean, van parked neatly, no oil stains, no loud work at night, professional operation. Then April 17th, 2024. Moving day for the Lancasters. 2 white Mercedes G-Wagons rolled up to 4851 Saguaro Drive, the house directly next to mine. Not a speck of dust on either vehicle. New Mexico plates? Still dealer fresh. Behind them came the moving truck. Atlas van lines. The expensive kind. I was replacing a compressor on my van when I saw her. Deborah Lancaster stepped out of the lead G-Wagon wearing a white linen pantsuit that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage. Hair pulled back in a tight blonde ponytail. Skin that shade of tan that only comes from expensive salons. She had a clipboard. A serious clipboard, leather-bound, gold pen attached by a chain. Before the movers even opened the truck, she was walking. Not to introduce herself to me, to inspect. She marched across the Johnsons' lawn, then the Rodriguez property, then mine, making notes on that clipboard like a health inspector in a failed restaurant. I watched her circle my work van twice, writing each time. Finally, she walked over, stood 3 feet away, radiating disapproval. "You must be the one with the commercial vehicle," she said. Not "hi" or "I'm your new neighbor," just an accusation dressed as an observation. I wiped grease off my hands with a shop rag. Yeah, I run an HVAC repair business. Been here 9 years. She wrote something. Didn't break eye contact while doing it. That's going to be a problem. Why? Commercial operations in residential zones create visual blight and reduce property values by an average of 7 to 12%. I've done the research. I stared at her. I've been here 9 years. Nobody's ever complained. Nobody's ever established proper standards. She clicked her pen. I'm Deborah Lancaster. My husband Mitchell and I just purchased 4,851. We're here to elevate the community. Elevate? You'll understand soon. She turned and walked back to her house, heels clicking on the asphalt. Her husband Mitchell emerged from the second G-Wagon. Tall, mid-40s, polo shirt tucked into designer jeans, Rolex on his wrist catching the sun. Real estate developer type. I could smell it from 30 feet away. Within an hour, he was walking the property line between our houses with a tape measure. Yellow Stanley Fat Max, the 25-foot kind. He'd pull it, write something in a small notebook, pull it again from a different angle. Mrs. Rodriguez came over while I was watching. New neighbors seem intense. That's one word for it, I said. By day 3, the letters started. I found the first one Tuesday morning, April 20th, slipped under my door, printed on cream cardstock, expensive weight, no signature. Attention resident. Recent observations indicate several community standard violations requiring immediate attention. Commercial vehicles parked in residential driveways create aesthetic concerns and may violate municipal code. Please consider relocating business operations to proper commercial facilities. Your cooperation is appreciated. I showed it to my brother-in-law, Jake, that night. He's a paralegal at a Phoenix law firm. Is this legal? I asked. He read it, laughed. It's passive-aggressive garbage. May violate means they have no idea if it actually does. And community standards means nothing without an actual HOA. Then ignore it. Probably just one cranky person. Except 3 other neighbors got similar letters. Mr. Chen got cited for excessive wind chime noise. He had 2 small chimes on his porch. The Martinez family got flagged for toys creating visual clutter, a soccer ball, and 2 scooters in their driveway. The Johnsons got warned about unapproved dog structures. They had a basic doghouse in their backyard. All letters were anonymous, all on the same cream cardstock. Then came the stakes. May 2nd, early morning. I walked out to load my van and nearly tripped over a wooden surveyor's stake hammered into my front yard. Bright orange ribbon tied to the top. Then I spotted another one 15 feet away. Then a third along the property line between my house and the Lancasters. They formed a line that cut across the edge of my driveway, about 8 feet onto my property. I pulled them out, tossed them onto the Lancasters' lawn. Next morning, they were back. Same spots, plus 2 more. I knocked on their door. 8:47 a.m. Mitchell answered in workout clothes, protein shake in hand. "Oh, hey neighbor." "The stakes," I said. "They're on my property." "Oh, those." He took a sip. "We're just clarifying the property line. Seems like there's been some confusion over the years." "There's no confusion. I have a survey from when I bought the house. Surveys can be outdated. Foundations shift. Lines move." He smiled, salesman smile. All teeth, no warmth. "We'd like to discuss a more practical boundary arrangement." "Practical for who?" He leaned against the doorframe. "Look, you've got all this driveway space. We entertain frequently. High-profile clients, business partners. We could really use some overflow parking. It just makes sense to share access to that eastern section." I felt my jaw tighten. No. The smile vanished like someone shut off a light switch. Fine. We'll handle this through proper channels. The door closed. Hard. Over the next week, more appeared. Chalk lines across my driveway, bright yellow spray chalk, the kind construction crews use, small flags in my front yard marking invisible boundaries, and Deborah, constantly pacing outside with that clipboard and a tape measure, comparing numbers, taking photos, making notes like she was documenting a crime scene. Then Friday, May 10th, I came home from a job in Tempe and found a printed notice taped to my front door. Official notice, driveway violation, citation number 001. Violation, unauthorized use of shared community access corridor property, 4847 Saguaro Drive Code Section. HOA Bylaw 7.4.2 fine. $150 due within 14 days. Cease exclusive use. Maintain shared access protocols. Contact Desert Willow HOA Board. Phone 480-555-0147. I ripped it off the door and marched straight to their house. Rang the bell 3 times. Deborah answered, holding a Starbucks venti latte, iced. Extra foam. I could see it through the clear cup. I held up the notice. This neighborhood doesn't have an HOA. We're forming one, she said, calm as a yoga instructor. It's desperately needed. Who's we? She smiled. Mitchell and I are the founding board members. We've drafted comprehensive bylaws, established governance protocols, and begun community outreach. I stared at her, searching her face for any sign she was joking. Nothing. Dead serious. You can't just create an HOA because you feel like it. Actually, Arizona Revised Statutes, Section 33 to 1802, allows for there has to be a vote by actual homeowners. You can't just declare yourself president. Her smile tightened. We're working within all legal frameworks. You'll receive proper notification when the formation is complete. In the meantime, please comply with posted violations. This is insane. This is progress, she corrected. Desert Willow has been neglected for too long. We're bringing order, standards, structure. You'll thank us eventually. I walked away before I said something I'd regret. That night, I talked to other neighbors. Same reaction from everyone. Eye-rolling, groaning, disbelief. Mr. Chen called it la locura, the madness. Mrs. Rodriguez said she'd gotten 3 fake citations. The Johnsons had received a $200 fine for unapproved fence modifications. Their fence was original from 1998. But nobody wanted to fight. They had jobs, kids, lives. Just ignore them, everyone said. They'll give up. Except Deborah Lancaster didn't give up. She escalated. Wednesday, September 25th, 2024, 6:42 a.m. I was loading equipment into my van when I heard it. The unmistakable diesel growl of heavy machinery. I turned around and my stomach dropped. A full asphalt paving crew had set up at the edge of my driveway. Steamroller. Asphalt mixer truck. 3 guys in neon yellow vests. And there, standing in the middle of it all, like a general surveying a battlefield, was Deborah Lancaster in white linen pants, sun hat, oversized sunglasses, sipping iced coffee from a plastic Starbucks cup. "What the hell are you doing?" I shouted, running toward them. She didn't look up from her phone. "Completing the driveway connection. The board approved this infrastructure improvement last Tuesday." "There is no board. There is no AOA." She glanced up. "The vote was unanimous, 3-0. 3 people isn't a vote. You need. I was sputtering brain, trying to catch up. "You're on my property." "Shared access corridor," she corrected, pulling out a folded paper from her designer handbag. "According to our survey, this 12-foot section falls under mutual easement provisions." She showed the paper to the paving foreman, a stocky guy with a gray beard who looked deeply uncomfortable. "Sir, is this your property?" he asked me. "Yes, I have the deed, the county survey, everything." "He's confused," Deborah interrupted smoothly. This section was abandoned for years. We're reclaiming it for community use. All paperwork is in order. It's not in order. She's lying. The foreman looked between us. Deborah pulled out her phone, showed him something, probably that fake survey. We're paying cash. We have permits. You have fake permits. Sir, the foreman said to me, you'll need to take this up with the city. We have a work order. I watched, helpless, furious, barely able to breathe as they unloaded the asphalt. Hot, black, steaming. They spread it across 12 feet of my driveway's eastern edge, rolled it smooth, blended it perfectly into the Lancasters' existing driveway until it looked like one continuous surface. One driveway, connecting both properties. I ran inside, grabbed my phone, my folder of property, documents, deed, title, survey, map from 2015, ran back out. Deborah was supervising the installation of small solar pathway lights along the new asphalt edge. Humming. Actually humming. Here, I shoved the survey at her. County certified. This is my property. All of it. She didn't take the paper. Didn't even look. Our survey says otherwise. You mean Mitchell's tape measure from Home Depot? Contractor-grade professional equipment, she corrected. Very precise. This is a legal document from the Maricopa County Recorder, she shrugged. Call the city if you're concerned. I'm sure they'd love to hear about your unlicensed commercial operation. My hands were shaking, literally trembling. You can't do this. I just did. She checked her watch, Michael Kors, rose gold. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a conference call in 15 minutes. She walked back to her house. Door closed. Lock clicked. I stood there, holding my documents, watching three strangers finish paving over my property with stolen asphalt, and my mind went completely blank. Not from confusion, from rage so pure it felt like ice. That night, I called Jake. Told him everything. Document everything, he said. Photos, videos, timestamps. Let her keep digging. People like this always bury themselves. What do I do right now? Nothing that gets you arrested. Be smart. Be patient. Build your case. So I did. I photographed the new asphalt from 6 angles. Measured it, 11 feet, 8 inches onto my property. Took screenshots of the county property map showing my boundaries. Saved every fake HOA notice Deborah had left. The next morning, she was out there decorating, adding river rocks along the asphalt edge, installing a matching solar light every 4 feet, planting small barrel cactus in decorative gravel. By Friday, she'd placed a carved wooden sign at the entrance. Lancaster Estate, guests welcome. On my property. Saturday, she started parking her white G-Wagon on it, diagonally, taking up the whole stolen section like she owned a private runway. The following Thursday, October 3rd, she hosted a dinner party. 16 guests, 8 cars, every single one parked on my driveway, the stolen section she'd paved, plus 4 more that spilled onto my original gravel area. I came home at 8:30 p.m. from a job in Chandler. Couldn't even get into my own driveway. A silver Lexus SUV blocked the entrance, parked halfway on the grass. I walked to the Lancaster house. Music and laughter poured from the backyard. Through the side gate, I could see people in cocktail attire, holding wine glasses, standing around a fire pit. Deborah spotted me. Walked over, champagne flute in hand. Oh, wonderful, you're home. Mitchell's business partner needed handicap-accessible parking. I knew you wouldn't mind sharing. They're parked on my driveway. Shared access corridor, she corrected, sipping champagne. Really, you should be thanking us. We've increased property values for the entire block. I heard one of her guests ask, "Is this your driveway now?" "Oh, absolutely," Deborah said loudly, making sure I heard. "We're formalizing the HOA next month. He'll have to comply with the new parking protocols then. That word, comply." I walked home, sat on my porch, drank a beer, made a decision. If Deborah wanted war, I'd give her war. But I'd fight it with something she didn't have. Actual legal authority over my own property. Monday morning, October 7th. 7:03 a.m. I called Southwest Desert Materials. I need 20 cubic yards of crushed gravel delivered today. Where you want it? I smiled. Right on top of the fresh asphalt at the end of my driveway. On the pavement? Dead center. You'll know it when you see it. 2 hours later, the rumble started. Deep, diesel, beautiful. A massive dump truck rolled down Saguaro Drive, engine roaring like mechanical thunder. Deborah was outside watering a newly installed Mexican bird of paradise plant on the stolen section. She turned. Face went from tan to white in 2 seconds. No. Stop. You can't. The dump truck backed up, beeping warning signals. The driver, a guy named Carlos I'd worked with on commercial sites, looked down from the cab. Where you want it, boss? I pointed at the fresh asphalt, the stolen section, Deborah's entire illegal project. Right there. All of it. You got it. He pulled the hydraulic lever. 20 cubic yards of 3/4-inch crushed gravel cascaded down like a waterfall of justice. It poured over the fresh asphalt, burying it completely, spreading 12 feet wide and 3 feet deep at the peak. The sound was magnificent, like thunder mixed with victory bells. Deborah actually screamed, high-pitched, raw, the kind of sound that makes dogs 3 blocks away start barking. Mitchell came sprinting out in designer sweatpants and a Lululemon hoodie. "What the hell are you doing?" "Using my property," I said calmly. "You're blocking our driveway." "No, I'm using my land. For legitimate construction purposes." Deborah's hands were shaking. Phone out, already dialing. "This is illegal! This is harassment!" "This is perfectly legal," I said. "Check the county property records. This is my land. I can put whatever I want on it." Carlos drove away, giving me a thumbs up through the window. The gravel mountain sat there like a monument, towering, immovable, gloriously immovable. Deborah called the police. 2 Scottsdale PD officers arrived 30 minutes later, Officer Mendez and Officer Patterson, both looking tired and annoyed. "He's blocking our driveway!" Deborah shrieked, pointing at the gravel. Officer Mendez walked over, examined my property, documents, deed, survey, county parcel map that I had ready and waiting in a folder. "Sir, is this your property?" he asked me. "Yes, sir. Every inch of it." He walked along the property line, measuring with his eyes, comparing to the survey, looked at the stolen asphalt underneath the gravel, looked at Deborah. "Ma'am, did you pave this section?" "It's shared access." "Did you get his permission?" "The HOA approved. Is there a registered HOA for this address?" Silence. "Ma'am?" Deborah's jaw clenched. "We're in formation." Officer Mendez sighed. The kind of sigh that says he's dealt with this exact situation 17 times this month. "Ma'am, this is clearly his property according to county records. He's within his rights to use it however he wants. If you paved on his land without permission, that's trespassing and property damage. You'll need to resolve this as a civil matter." "But he's—" "Civil matter, ma'am. We can't help you." They left. Deborah stood there, vibrating with rage, face the color of a ripe tomato. For 4 days, that gravel sat there. Guests trying to visit the Lancasters had to park on the street and walk. Mitchell tried negotiating, came over Wednesday afternoon with a mug of herbal tea and a fake smile. "Look, we need that section accessible. You have your own driveway," I said. "It's inconvenient from that angle. Should have thought about that before stealing mine." Friday, I escalated. 10 tons of decomposed granite arrived. Finer grain, packs down dense, almost impossible to shovel by hand. The driver dumped it right on top of the gravel, creating an even bigger mountain. Deborah came running out in slippers and a bathrobe, absolutely losing it. "This is terrorism." "It's landscaping," I said. She called the police again. Same 2 officers. Same result. "Ma'am," Officer Patterson said with infinite patience, "he owns the land. He can put whatever he wants on it. But it's blocking." "Then you shouldn't have built on his property." That's when I deployed the final weapon. Tuesday, October 15th. The porta potty arrived. Bright blue, 8 feet tall, positioned perfectly on the property line, impossible to miss from any angle. Deborah came sprinting out like she'd been launched from a circus cannon. "You cannot put that thing there!" "Watch me." The delivery guy name tag said Ramon, positioned it with a forklift, secured it with ground anchors, locked it in place. "This is disgusting. This is harassment. This is a sanitation facility for my work crew," I said. "You told me this land is shared, so I'm sharing the view." Her face cycled through 6 shades of purple. Within 3 hours, every kid in the neighborhood was calling it Deborah's throne. They'd bike past chanting it. Teenagers took TikTok videos posing in front of it. Old Mr. Chen walked by with his Shiba Inu, saw it, and actually laughed. First time I'd heard him laugh in years. Someone left a paper crown duct taped to the side with a note, "For Her Majesty." Deborah tried to remove it. Couldn't ground. Anchors were cemented. She tried to have it towed. Company said it was on private property, owner's permission required. She called the police. Again, this time they didn't even get out of the car. Just rolled down the window. "Ma'am, it's his property. It's legal. We're not coming back." But then something shifted in Deborah. She didn't retreat. She went nuclear. October 18th, I received a manila envelope via certified mail. Inside, a lawsuit. Not a small claims thing. A full Superior Court civil action. Deborah and Mitchell Lancaster versus unnamed defendant case no. CV 202-400-9847. Complaint 4. Property interference. Emotional distress, nuisance, violation of HOA covenants, visual pollution, malicious landscaping. They demanded $5,000 in damages, a restraining order preventing me from placing objects on shared property, mandatory mediation, a public apology delivered to every household, and permanent restrictions on my commercial operation. I called Jake immediately. He read it over the phone and started laughing. "She doesn't have a case. She built on your land without permission. You've got county records. You win." "So, we're good?" Long pause. "Well, there's one problem." My stomach dropped. "What problem?" "She also filed a complaint with the city, claiming you're running an illegal commercial business out of a residential zone. If the city sides with her on that technicality, she could force you into mediation. And I've seen weird things happen in Maricopa County courts. Ice water flooded my veins. What are the odds? Probably low, but not zero. That week was hell. I barely slept. Every phone call made my heart race. Every car that slowed in front of my house felt like a threat. What if some bureaucrat decided my HVAC business violated zoning? What if I lost my business license? What if Deborah actually found a loophole? The what-ifs multiplied like cancer cells. Friday, October 25th. Jake called. "Meet me at my office." Now. I drove there doing 70 in a 55 zone, hands strangling the steering wheel. Jake had a thick folder waiting. I did some digging on Deborah Lancaster. He slid it across. Property records from Paradise Valley, 3 miles from Desert Willow, and clipped to them a lawsuit against Deborah, filed by the Paradise Valley Homeowners Association. "She did this before?" I asked, stunned. "Worse, she tried to form an unauthorized HOA there too. Harassed neighbors for 2 years. Filed fake violations. Threatened lawsuits. They got a restraining order. She and Mitchell moved to avoid the fallout. But there was more." Jake flipped to a deposition, handwritten testimony from a man named Robert Chen. "Wait, Chen? Is this Mr. Chen from your neighborhood?" Jake confirmed. Turns out he lived in Paradise Valley for 40 years. He knew Deborah's family. I read the deposition. My hands started shaking halfway through. Deborah's mother, Margaret Lancaster, had been HOA president of a Paradise Valley community from 1982 to 1997. 15 years of tyranny. Fines for everything. Lawsuits against families. Destroyed lives over paint colors. Until 1997, when the homeowners organized and voted her out. The meeting was brutal, public, humiliating. Margaret stood at the podium while 93 homeowners voted to remove her, one by one, hands raised. Deborah was there. 17 years old. Front row. Watched her mother lose everything. She's trying to recreate what her mother lost, Jake said. It's not about the driveway. It's trauma. She's stuck in a loop. Everything clicked. The obsession, the fake authority, the desperate need for control. This changes everything, Jake continued. We bring this pattern up in court. It shows this isn't a property dispute. It's documented harassment. It destroys her credibility. Relief hit me so hard I actually felt dizzy. What do we do? Jake smiled. We end this. In court. Next week. December 2nd, 2024. Maricopa County Superior Courthouse. 9 a.m. The hallway smelled like floor polish and stress. Deborah sat across from us, manila folder clutched to her chest, face pale. Mitchell beside her with that ridiculous sparkly binder, HOA files, confidential, written in gold letters. They looked like they were about to defend a middle school science project. My attorney, Marcus Webb Jake, had recommended him. 23 years of property law experience sat next to me with folders perfectly organized. Judge Thompson doesn't tolerate nonsense, Marcus whispered. This'll be quick. Deborah stood, walked over. Before we begin, I'd like to offer a settlement. We'll remove part of the wall if you relocate that sanitation unit and cease. No, I said. Her left eye twitched. She walked away. The bailiff called us in. 8 neighbors sat in the gallery. Mrs. Kowalski had brought popcorn in a Ziploc bag. Judge Thompson entered, tall, silver hair, the kind of exhausted expression that comes from seeing humanity's worst behavior daily. Everyone stood. Case number 4, 7CV202-400-9847, Lancaster versus Miller. Deborah raised her hand. Judge Thompson didn't look up. Ma'am, you speak when addressed. Her hand froze. Lowered slowly, face flushed red. Mitchell opened the binder. Papers fell out. Then more. Then about 30 more, cascading to the floor like a document waterfall. He scrambled to pick them up, on his hands and knees, while the courtroom watched in silence. Mrs. Lancaster, the judge said, you filed the complaint. Proceed. Deborah stood carefully, smoothing her blazer. Your Honor, my husband and I have been subjected to months of harassment, property obstruction, and violations of established neighborhood standards. Established neighborhood standards? Yes, Your Honor. As representatives and founding members of the Desert Willow Homeowners Association, there is no registered HOA at that address. He consulted his notes. I checked this morning. Deborah froze. We're in the official formation process. That doesn't grant you legal authority over your neighbors, but community guidelines are essential for maintaining. Judge Thompson leaned forward. Mrs. Lancaster, do you understand that attempting to enforce rules for an organization that doesn't legally exist is unlawful? She opened her mouth, closed it, looked at Mitchell. He shrugged helplessly. Your Honor, she tried again, voice shaking now. We had legitimate reason to believe the driveway section was shared property. What reason? Mitchell jumped up. Our measurements, Your Honor. We conducted thorough property measurements using professional-grade equipment. Judge Thompson removed his reading glasses. What equipment? A contractor-grade Stanley Fatmax tape measure, 25 feet. Certified accurate. Marcus coughed loudly, barely hiding laughter. The judge blinked slowly. You determined legal property boundaries. With a tape measure from a hardware store? It's contractor grade, Mitchell insisted. Mr. Miller, the judge said, do you have your property deed and survey? Marcus stood, presented our folder. County certified survey from 2015. Deed. Recorded in 2015. Aerial maps with GPS coordinates. Professional surveyor's stamp. Judge Thompson reviewed it. Flipped pages. Compared documents. After 3 minutes of silence, he looked up. Mrs. Lancaster, every legal document shows the disputed area belongs entirely to Mr. Miller. Deborah's mouth fell open. But we invested the asphalt, the wall, the landscaping, were built unlawfully on someone else's property. That constitutes trespassing and property damage. But the HOA, there is no HOA. Then he said the words, "I'll never forget. Bailiff, bring in the paving contractor." Deborah went rigid, face drained white. The contractor entered, same stocky guy with the gray beard who'd done the work. He looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. "State your name for the record." "Tony Morales." "Mr. Morales, did the defendants hire you to pave a section of driveway?" "Yes, sir." "Did they tell you they owned the property?" "Yes, sir. Ma'am said the neighbor had abandoned it and they were reclaiming it for community use." "Did you see permits?" "No, sir." "Did you question that?" Morales shifted uncomfortably. "Honestly, Your Honor, they paid cash. $3,000 up front. I didn't ask too many questions." Deborah gasped. "You weren't supposed to say that." "Ma'am, I'm under oath. I'm not lying to a judge." Judge Thompson rubbed his temples. "This is textbook illegal construction." Then Marcus stood. "Your Honor, if I may, there's additional relevant evidence." He presented Jake's folder. Mrs. Lancaster attempted identical actions at her previous residence in Paradise Valley, unauthorized HOA formation, neighbor harassment. The previous homeowners association obtained a restraining order. There's a documented pattern of this behavior. Deborah's face went from white to gray. The judge reviewed the Paradise Valley documents. His expression darkened with each page. "Mrs. Lancaster, this isn't a property dispute. This is systematic harassment with a documented history." But then something happened that I didn't expect. A hand rose in the gallery. Mr. Chen, 78 years old, in a cardigan and khaki pants. "Your Honor, may I speak?" Judge Thompson looked surprised. "You may." Mr. Chen stood slowly, using the bench for support. "I'm Robert Chen. I lived in Paradise Valley for 40 years. I knew Deborah's mother, Margaret Lancaster." The courtroom went dead silent. Margaret was HOA president of the Sunrise Vista community from 1982 to 1997. She fined families into bankruptcy over mailbox colors. She sued a widow because her roses were the wrong shade of pink. She destroyed lives. He looked directly at Deborah. "Until we organized and voted her out. The meeting was at Desert Valley Community Center, June 14th, 1997. 93 homeowners voted to remove her. You were there, Deborah. Front row. You watched your mother lose everything she'd built." Deborah's hands shook. Tears streamed down her face. "I know why you're doing this," Mr. Chen continued, voice soft now. "You're trying to prove you can control what your mother couldn't keep. You're trying to vindicate her humiliation. But this isn't HOA management. This is trauma you're forcing onto innocent people." He sat down. The silence was absolute. Judge Thompson took a long breath. "Mrs. Lancaster, you need professional help. What you're doing isn't community leadership, it's pathological behavior." He read his ruling. "I find in favor of the defendant, Mr. Miller, on all counts. The Lancasters will remove all structures from Mr. Miller's property within 30 days. They will restore the land to its original condition at their own expense. They will pay Mr. Miller's legal fees totaling," he consulted notes, $4,800, "and they will immediately cease all communications claiming HOA authority. Further violations will result in contempt charges and financial penalties up to $10,000. Deborah buried her face in her hands. "Furthermore," the judge added, "I'm ordering a psychological evaluation before Mrs. Lancaster files any future legal actions. This pattern must end." Bang! The gavel struck. The gallery applauded. Judge Thompson glared but didn't stop them. I walked out into the hallway. Deborah stood against the wall, completely broken. Mitchell had his hand on her shoulder, but she wasn't responding. I stopped, looked at her. For the first time, I didn't see a villain. I saw someone trapped in a nightmare that started when she was 17, watching her mother's empire collapse, and spent 30 years trying to rebuild it. "Next time," I said quietly, "get therapy instead of a clipboard." She looked up, eyes red. makeup ruined. I just wanted to matter. You matter, I said, but not like this. I walked away. 3 weeks later, the demolition was complete. The wall came down first, stones scattered, mortar crumbling. The solar lights removed, leaving small holes in the ground. The asphalt jackhammered away, chunk by chunk, revealing my original concrete underneath. My driveway was mine again, scarred, cracked in places, but mine. One morning, the foreman found me. "All done, sir. Thanks." He hesitated. "She tried to talk us into leaving the foundation buried, said you'd never know." I nodded. "Sounds like her." We told her the judge's order said complete removal. She didn't argue after that. I stood in the December sun, looking at my property. 9 years I'd lived here, 9 years building a business, helping neighbors, being part of a community, and for 3 months it had all been threatened by one person who couldn't escape her past. That afternoon, Deborah appeared, last time I ever saw her. "We're listing the house," she said quietly. Couldn't meet my eyes. "Probably for the best. I'm sorry. For all of it. I couldn't stop myself." "I know." She walked away. January 18th, 2025. Moving day. The same Atlas Van Lines truck that had brought them. The white G-Wagons loaded. Mitchell and Deborah drove away at 11:43 a.m. without saying goodbye to anyone. The neighborhood exhaled. I kept the porta potty for 2 more weeks. The kids still called it Deborah's throne. And honestly, I didn't stop them. It was a reminder, a monument, a warning. February 1st, I had it removed. That evening, I stood on my driveway, watching the sun set over Camelback Mountain, painting the sky orange and purple and gold. My driveway, my property, my peace. Boundaries matter, not walls or fences or property lines on a map, but the boundaries we set with people who think they can take whatever they want simply because they want it. Deborah Lancaster needed to hear no her entire life. She never did, and when she finally heard it from a judge, it shattered her. I don't take joy in that, but I don't regret it either. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is refuse to participate in someone else's delusion. Have you ever dealt with a neighbor who thought they owned more than they did? How did you handle it? Let me know in the comments.